Hey everyone, I just got Ned-B in from Star Action Figures in the UK. They do ship to the US. It does cost about £30 for shipping, but if you're getting a lot of figures, it can definitely balance out. They have the Maul and Ayla Sakura wave in stock right now, as well as all of the Andor exclusives. They have some great sales going on, so I was able to get a couple cheap figures to kind of balance out the shipping cost. But the good news is that this has started showing up in Targets today. This photo is from Apo in the Out of the Basement Discord, and then Yakface shared this image of it showing up in Texas. One of the cool things about the plastic-free packaging that I actually really like is being able to see a preview of the figure on the side here. Something about the just kind of organized nature of this is kind of how I wish the cover photos were. Those just don't have as much shelf appeal, but I think these are posed the way that they kind of look when they're in the plastic bubble, and something about that uniformity in the plastic packaging I always really liked, so it's nice to see some element of that in the plastic-free packaging. We obviously have the plastic-free packaging here with the tissue paper. These are sealed in a way that they have each accessory in a separate compartment. It helps with smaller accessories to make sure you don't miss anything, but here we just have three pretty large accessories. We have the backpack, the hammer, and then of course his weapon. I have to say that this is the first main character figure that I'm getting in the plastic-free packaging, so the Gaming Greats exclusive, they're always reused, so it's not as exciting to open, but this is my first brand new sculpt, so I was really curious to see how it felt to open it up here. It definitely loses a little bit of the excitement, I think, of seeing it in the plastic first and then, getting it home and opening it up. But, I was just as excited to get this box open as I was with the plastic ones, and so I don't think that in the long run the plastic-free packaging is going to affect my enjoyment of the Black Series as a whole. One of the negatives of the plastic-free packaging is definitely that I like to store the extra accessories that come with figures in their boxes, because I keep all of their boxes, so if I'm looking for Ahsoka's lightsabers and I have her posed on the shelf without them, then I know that they're going to be in the Ahsoka box, and I can just glance at it and know whether or not they're in there, versus having to actually open up the cardboard box to see what I put in there. So I'll probably have to come up with somewhere else to place my accessories in the meantime. One of the critiques of this figure was that on the box he looks really golden, versus in person he looks a lot more pale yellow, and I saw a photo that someone had posted in a Facebook group where he looked very, very pale. In person here I'm much happier with the saturation and the darkness of the yellow. I think it looks very much better than it did in pictures, or just kind of how I was expecting it to look. The articulation is pretty limited. This guy's kind of like Wrecker in a lot of ways in terms of, the limitations of the size and just the design of his parts. His backpack, of course, just slots into place. It's not really the type of thing that you need to remove, but I don't know, there's something about kind of assembling certain parts of the figure yourself that is fun, versus, if it had just been sort of glued to his back there. And I was trying to match the pose that we see on the box with his arm kind of slung over his shoulder with the hammer, but the articulation at the elbow doesn't allow for that, so I think maybe it was some just camera tricks going on there on the box. I don't think they were intentionally trying to mislead, but the way it looks in the box isn't really possible with the figure itself. And the hands are really tight, so getting that hammer into those fingers was tough, and then trying to figure out how to get the gun into this hand was a little tricky. This definitely looks like more of a trigger finger, but then his other fingers don't really allow for it to fit. It's a snug fit, it just looks a little bit weird having his hand like that, but not too bad. This blaster, of course, was designed for human hands, but you would think that they would kind of sculpt the hand around the blaster instead of just, it feels like they just kind of sculpted an open trigger hand and just hope that the blaster fits. But, it stays in there, it doesn't fall out. I've had figures that can hold their figures a lot worse, and so, it's not the biggest deal at the end of the day. But I am really stoked to play around with this figure. When I film my reviews, I like to get my initial impressions on camera, and I like to just kind of unbox them live. And so I pretty much experienced this figure through the back of my phone screen as I'm recording this, so I'm definitely excited to have this out later and just kind of be able to play around with it. Let's go ahead and stick it on my Kenobi shelf. The shelf that you're seeing now is featured in my collection tour video, along with some of my other shelves. This one is getting very crowded. It's kind of my Disney Plus area, as well as Jedi Fallen Order. There's my custom Saw Gerrera and Zeb, this custom Scoundrel stock Anakin head that was painted by Frederick's Figures, some Purge Troopers back here. I've got my fifth brother with that alternate hand, and then my Kenobi with the Fett clone head, and my Eope. So much going on here. Tika with my 3D printed T16. We've got the Seeker droid there, but I do love the pop of yellow on this shelf. I'm excited to do a little bit of painting on this, but honestly, I'm pretty happy with where it's at. I might do a little bit more metallic detail, maybe some metal dry brushing on those abdomen parts. They look a little bit plain. Let me know what you guys think if you'll be picking this up. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you would like to see more content like this, and I'll see you all next time.